All right, in lesson 9.5, we're going to get into, wow, I want to say it's a lot of nitty gritty here as far as posting from a cash payments journal. And again, we're talking about one of our 5 special journals that we're learning here in these various sections. So we've talked about the purchases journal in a previous lesson. You have some background with the general journal. Now we're getting into cash payments journal. All right. And we're posting. So we've assumed we've already made our entries to the cash payments journal. Now it's time to post those to both the accounts payable ledger, that subsidiary or that subledger, and the general ledger, that ledger that has all of our main accounts, as opposed to accounts payable ledger has our individual vendors. And again, the accounts payable ledger, that total will always roll up into the controlling account, accounts payable, which is going to be a 200 or 2000. It's going to be a number account that starts with 2, a liability in the general ledger. Okay. First of all, credit limit. Now you're familiar, if you've ever been around credit cards, and if you haven't had this in personal finance yet, you will. Credit limit is a maximum outstanding balance allowed to a customer by a vendor. Okay. Now the customer is generally a business. Now, in terms of a credit card, you're a consumer. For example, right now my credit limit is 12,500 on my credit card. I can go and buy things up to that amount, and God forbid if I do, that's a lot of money. But I can charge up to that account, and then after that, I can't use my credit card anymore. I've reached my credit limit. A business will do the same thing with a customer. They have run their credit report on the business. They've determined their credit worthiness, and they say, okay, maybe we're going to start you out with, depending on the business and the size and all that, we're going to start you out with a $2,000 credit line. Now, once you hit that point, we're not going to ship you any more goods. They're going to send me a purchase order. I'm going to ship it on terms, maybe 210 net 30, maybe net 30, whatever, and they're going to pay me within 30 days. But once they hit that credit limit, I'm done. All right. Now, what happens if I'm a business and I don't know how much I owe various vendors? Think of the dangers of that. For one thing, speaking of credit limit, I could be hitting my credit limit and not even knowing it if I haven't updated my subsidiary ledger, my accounts payable ledger, and updated those balances in there. So that needs to happen frequently. And if I'm ordering a lot from the same vendor, I want to keep track of, okay, I got payments, I got purchases. What's my balance? Am I pushing up against that balance? Am I getting close to that? All right. So you want to make sure that your balances that you owe your vendors are current, and also you want to make sure. And I think I said this in a previous lesson, that you keep your vendors happy. You want to be a valued customer of your vendors, because you're going to get to a point where you've made a mistake. You need something tomorrow, whatever. And if you're that vendor that's always causing trouble, excuse me, if you're the customer that's always causing trouble, that vendor may not be too excited about serving your needs like instantaneously. So there comes a time when you need a favor, and if you've been a valued customer making payments, communicating, they'll make arrangements for you. Otherwise, you might just be out of luck. Okay? All right. How often should posting occur? Well, depending on the level of activity of your business, I would say most often, if it's a pretty active business, so that's going to be posting daily. If it's a smaller business where you're not going to have a whole lot of activity, maybe every couple of days, you have to kind of determine that. That's kind of a for instance. All right. And as I mentioned, consumers aren't the only ones with credit limits. Businesses have one as well. So in the businesses I've worked in the past, for example, we would ship goods to the vendor. We would buy stuff from the vendor, and we had a credit limit with that vendor, and we knew that was. And conversely, we had customers that we were supplying goods to. All right, because I'm thinking of the grip manufacturing, grab-on products over here off of Avery Street that I worked with. Okay, we had customers of ours that we produced stuff and sold it to them we were a vendor to them. We were a supplier to them, and we had a credit limit that we cut them off and stopped shipment if they reach that. Okay, so a lot of talk here around vendors, right? Okay, so posting from a cash payments journal to an accounts payable ledger. Now remember, in the cash payments journal, the account title you put in was the name of the vendor into the account title area. And remember, we have general debit and credit. We had accounts payable debit, because with a cash payments journal, that's the only thing that's going to happen to cash payments journal. That's all you're going to see in accounts payable is a debit. A purchases discount credit, if we pay a 210 net 30 and we take a 2% discount, and then a cash credit. All right. So we are going to be posting individual amounts from the debit and credit columns, the general debit and credit columns. We're going to be posting individual amounts, and also anything in the accounts payable debit column, we're going to post that to the subsidiary ledger, our accounts payable ledger. Now we're going to end up posting the total accounts payable to accounts payable in the general ledger, but individual amounts will be posted to the vendors. All right, so kind of follow along with that, because that's kind of a split there. Individual amounts in the accounts payable debit are going to go to the vendors in the accounts payable ledger. The total is going to get posted to accounts payable in the general ledger. Wow, a lot of stuff there. Okay, so here we go. So in this case, we're going to post to the accounts payable ledger. We put the date. We put the page number CP21. All right. Cash payments journal 21. We have a debit of $54.83. We made a payment on account. Bearden Chemicals did. We made a payment to them on account. And remember, they have a credit balance. We previously owed them $11,000 plus change down here. We made a $5,483 payment. I'll get my numbers right. And then we subtract that, because that's a debit. We have a credit balance, we have a debit, so we're subtracting, reducing the amount that we now owe. And when the dust settles, we owe them $6,000 plus change down here to Bearden Chemicals. So we record the debit, we record the new balance, the previous credit balance minus the debit entry, come up with a new credit balance. Accounts payable, liability, increased side is the credit side. And then to finish off the posting for that individual amount, we're going to say 210 Bearden Chemicals. Now later on, we'll come and post the column total for accounts payable. All right. So far, so good. And here we go again. Here we have a general debit. We purchased something with cash, not on account, with cash. And understand the difference. One is we paid cash up front. The other one, we have some sort of payment terms where we agree to pay in the future. Now, both amounts are probably going to end up going to purchases, but one is on account, one is with cash. Now, most businesses would not purchase goods, merchandise for sale with cash. They do it with terms. All right, but in this exception here. So in this case, we have a general debit of $480. Notice we have a general debit of $480 and a cash credit of $480. We put the date. Now we're in the general ledger down here. Purchases, account 5110. Cash payments 21. A general debit here of $480. Remember, purchases is a cost of goods entry. It is a debit side increase balance. And so we previously had $214,000. We had $480, and now we have $215,000 plus change when we post that. Now we're only going to post debit and credit, general debit and credit entries, and accounts payable debit entries, but that just to the accounts payable ledger. You'll catch on here as we go along here. So we posted that, and then we go back, put the account number, 5110, put the general ledger account number back in the post reference in our cash payments journal, just like we did before, a couple chapters back in the general journal. Okay, general debit. Totally improving and ruling a cash payments journal. So now we've assumed we've posted all of the general debit and credit entries, and we have posted the anything in accounts payable debit. All right. Wow, that is a typo. I didn't notice that before, but you see how they've got 1080 in general debit, 1080 in accounts payable debit, cash credit, purchase discount credit and cash credit. Okay, that is a typo. Mistake. And maybe I'll go in the future and maybe jot that down or something. But error. Can we just forget that they put 1080 there? All right. Okay. So we get down, we put the totals, put the date. This would be a month with 30 days in it. Totals, single rule, column total for all of our accounts there, and double rule. Now, I'm not going to go through right now and verify that their debits equal the credits, but just eyeballing it, it looks like they do. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. I'd be curious to know, but let's assume they met debits equal credits. When we do the assignment, debits will equal credits. Anyway, moving on. We learned how to total the columns. Maybe they had an error in there. We'd find the error later, wouldn't we? The debits equal the credits. Okay, posting from the special amount columns of a cash payments journal to a general ledger. Okay, so we've totaled our columns here, and we're going to put a check mark for general debit because we've already posted all those amounts individually to various general ledger accounts. Same with the general credit column, just like we did in the general journal a couple chapters back. Then we come down here and we have accounts payable debit. Now remember, we posted those individual amounts to the accounts payable ledger to our individual vendors, but now we need to post the total to our controlling account in the general ledger accounts payable account. Got to think of my terms here. All right. So here we're going to go down and put the date, cash payments journal 22. We're then going to take the debit amount from accounts payable, $7,051.50. Now remember, accounts payable has a credit balance as our increase side and our natural balance. We are then going to deduct from our $26,000 previous balance the $7,000 debit, come up with a new credit balance of $19,604.67. All right. And we go back and we post 2110, our account number, back in the column, just like we did in previous chapters. Nothing new. Okay. And we're going to do the same as you can see down here in purchases discount and in cash. We're going to go back and put those account numbers at the bottom of the column to show that those total column amounts, those special column amounts, have been posted. Okay, completing the accounts payable ledger. Well, now we have posted from our purchases journal individual amounts, credit amounts. We've posted from our cash payments journal individual debit amounts. We get down to the end of the month, and we should have an updated balance for each one of the vendors that we owe money to in the accounts payable ledger. And it looks like we have 6 vendors. Now, again, if you have a computerized system, this will all be automated as part of your posting process, and the accounts, this subsidiary ledger will be just a natural part of your accounting system. So now what we're going to do, we're going to say, okay, now we're going to create what's called a schedule of accounts payable. We're simply just going to come up with a list of all of our vendors and all the amounts that we owe them and a total. Quite simple. Okay, so here we go. We have them in alphabetical order. We have just one column because they better all have credit balances that we owe them. We should also be checking against our credit limit to verify we haven't gone over that. We just simply put all the amounts down and then single and double rule the bottom down there to equal $19,604.67. All right. Now, when it's all said and done, hold on, let's go back here. $19,604.67. that should equal my amount in accounts payable, the controlling account in the general ledger, 19,604.67. Okay? And it does. That's what the whole point of the schedule of accounts payable is. And that'll be built in if you have a computerized system. Okay? Now, when I was at Seneca Foods, we have a similar account called Grower Payable, and rather than have it be an electronic part of our computerized accounting system, so we had a Growers Payable account. We kept our own manual ledger, like with accounting paper, and a booklet to keep track of. So our subsidiary ledger in that case was paper, the controlling account in the general ledger. In the general ledger, it was computerized. We always wanted to make sure that the total in our booklet, our subsidiary ledger for growers, was equal to the total credit balance that we had in that grower payable account in the general ledger. Okay. All right. In which column of the cash payments journal are the amounts that are posted individually to the accounts payable ledger? So where are those amounts that we post individually to the accounts payable ledger? I'm hoping you're saying the accounts payable debit column. We're going to record all the payments that we made on account to our vendors. We're going to post those individually. Again, the total for accounts payable, that column total, we're going to do at the end and post it as one big amount to the general ledger. I know I'm repeating that like 3 times, but I think that bears noting. List of 5 steps for ruling a cash payments journal at the end of the month. Single rule, single line across all columns. Write the date, write totals, write each column total, double rule. Pretty much stuff we've done before. What is the relationship between a controlling account and a subsidiary ledger? Again, you always have to think with a question like this, what's a controlling account and what's a subsidiary ledger? Now, this should be vocabulary that you're beginning to get familiar with. Controlling account balance in a general ledger must equal the sum of all account balances in a subsidiary ledger, just like I explained with our Seneca Foods grower payable account. All right, at all times, the general ledger must match a subsidiary ledger. Okay? All righty, let's go do some practice here with section 9.5, working papers 9.5. So work through this with me, please, as I go through it here. I got working papers 9.5 up here. And I'm going to go down here and open an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to be my adding machine, if you like. I'll just kind of minimize that and have it ready, have it at the ready here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now, kind of be patient with this because this is pretty tedious and take some time. So just be patient as you move through it. Okay. The October cash payments transaction for Golden Fabrics have been journalized. Determine the total of each cash payments journal. Enter 0 if the column total is 0. Okay. All right. So here we go. So I'm going to say I've got my general debit and my general credit, accounts payable debit, purchases, discount, credit, cash, credit. Okay, let's add it up. Equals, I'm going to start with this first column here, equals 124 plus 1575 plus 64 plus 48.15 plus 57.18. By the way, don't rely on your ability to do math in your head. That's a good way to go kind of sideways there for a while. So I got 1917.02. Let's go down and do that. Oh, I got to put my date in, right? For October. 31 totals and 1917. I'm going to move this around a little bit here. Hold on. La-di-da-dee-dee-dee-doo. Let's see here. Okay. Let's get my adding machine over here, my Excel spreadsheet. Again, you can use a calculator, of course. Excel's my little calculator. Okay, 1917.02. No activity in general credit. So I'm going to put 0. AP debit equals 1640. These are payments I made to my vendors, plus 426. 2066. Purchase discount, as you can see, is 32.8. 32.8. And cash credit. And I will impact cash credit with every single entry, because that's why we have a cash payments journal, right? I'm going to add up all those items. 3950.22. Let's see, I'll do a total debit. I'll do a DR, DeBear, total debit, total credit, just to verify. So I've got general debit plus accounts payable debit. I've got general credit is 0 plus cash purchase discount credit plus cash credit, 398302. So I prove that debits equal credits. Okay. So I've posted my totals down here at the bottom in our work together. Okay, grade step 1. Bam. The October cash payments transactions have been journalized. Determine the total of each. Enter 0. I already just did that. Yes, of course. Next step. Post cash payments journal lines. Okay, well, here we go. Cash payments journal lines. Now, this is where we get into the tedious part. Okay, so here we go. Utilities expense, general debit, 124, October 2nd. I think I'm going to try to, can I pin this? It's not letting me pin it. Lets me pin this. Can I access that? Okay, so first entry is, I may regret that, by the way. Utilities expense 124. General ledger, utilities expense. Oh, I need to go down. It's giving me the information, but I need to go post down below there. I'm going to unpin. Sorry about that confusion. Okay. Utilities expense 124 on October 2nd. 124. This is cash. I should put the journal in. Cash payments number 10, right? 124. I'm going to do some adding over here. I got 948.59 plus 124. New balance of 1072.59. And that is account 6170. All right. Now, next line. I've got, looks like we've made a payment on account with a 2% discount, accounts payable debit of 1640. Now I'm going to post that individual entry to Gray Manufacturing in my accounts payable ledger. All right, so here we go, Gray Manufacturing on the 3rd. I'm going to peek up there. On the 3rd. Cash payments, I keep forgetting what my cash payments journal is. Cash payments journal number 10. Okay. I have a debit of 1640. My previous credit balance was 1640. I'm debiting it for 1640. And I hope you can see I've paid my bill off. Now I owe them 0. That is vendor number 220. Again, not a general ledger account number, a vendor account number. So I'm going to post 220 up there for Gray Manufacturing. Next, it looks like I bought purchases with cash, $15.75 on the 9th. Purchases, again, that's part of my cost of goods area. On the 9th, cash payments number 10 for $15.75. Let's double check that. On the 9th, $15.75 5. Previous balance is 94128.25 plus 1575. New balance 95703.25. 95703.25. Now let's make sure that cash payments journal is abbreviated as CP. Okay, 95703.25. Perfect. Count number 5110. Back up here. Count 5110. Credit card fee expense $64 on the 12th. On the 12th. Cash payments number 10. Whoops. My caps lock key was on. Debit is $64. That's 481.15 plus 64, 545.15. 64 at the count number 6115. Again, we did all that kind of posting in the general, from the general journal before. 6115, correct. Cash payments 10. Then we come down here to Westland Supply. We're making a payment on account on the 16th. CP 10. We made a payment of $426. Previous credit balance was $992. We're debiting for $426. We're decreasing. Minus $426. Our new balance is $566. Paid off maybe a previous shipment they made to us. $566. That is vendor 240. Vendor 240. We get an individual amount over here in the accounts payable debit column. Then we had this petty cash, 4815 supplies office. Wait, what was the date again? The 31st. Cash payments 10. 4815. New balance 3184.17 plus 48.15. 3232.32. Count number 1145. And again, that is a asset supplies office. We're keeping some sort of supplies inventory at the end of the month. We'll adjust it for supplies used. We have a different supplies account for supplies store. On the 31st, we had that for 5718. Cash payments number 10, 57.18. Previous balance was 4180.18 plus 57.18. We now have a new supplies store amount of 4237.36. Again, if I'm going too fast, you can slow me down, rewind, whatever. 1150 is our account. We're going to post in there. Miscellaneous expense 4764. 4764. Cash payment 10, 47.64. Previous balance was 2489.97 plus 47.64 equals 2537.61. Account number 6135. I said there's a lot of tedium here. 6135. There we go. And cash short and over 105. Cash short and over 31st. Cash payments 10, 1.05. I'm going to go on a limb and add this in my head. It's going to be a previous debit of $19.95 plus 105. Gives me $21 even. Count number 6110. Whoops. Yep, 6110. There we go. And I've posted all of my individual general debit and accounts payable debit entries. Okay, I just kind of did them in order. All right. Okay, so I've posted all my individual amounts. Cash payments 10. I think I'm good. Went back and showed all the different post references, either a general ledger account number or a subsidiary accounts payable ledger vendor number. And let's see how I did with that. Grade step 2. All right, looks like I got that right. Looks good. Next step, post cash payments journal totals. Okay. Well, so I've got my totals down here at the bottom, and I am going to, I've already single ruled, put the date totals, column totals there. We did that in step 1. So my general debit column, what do I do with that? Well, I've already posted it individually, so there's nothing to do. Check mark. Same thing with general credit column, already posted. There was nothing there anyway. All right. Next, I have my accounts payable debit. Now remember, I've posted all my individual entries to the accounts payable ledger. Now I'm posting the accounts payable debit total column total to the accounts payable controlling account in the general ledger 2066. So accounts payable on the 31st. This is cash payments. Wait, what page am I at? 10. There we go. Cash payments journal 10, 2066 debit. Previous balance is 10,783.53 minus, because I have a debit, I'm taking away from my natural credit side 2066 to give me 8717.53. Decreasing accounts payable, which has a natural increase side on the right side, the credit side. Account number 2110, go back and post, put that underneath the column total. There we go. Purchases discount 3280. Purchases discount. Cash payments 10. 3280 credit. Do some addition here. 621.48 plus 32.8. 654.28. Now, one thing I hope you can appreciate as we go through this, accounting is an exact science. It's not like close enough here. When you do the math, in the end, you're going to prove, like, do your post-closing trial balance and all that stuff. Your debits have to equal your credits. So in the midst of all this minutia and posting that we're doing, understand that there's a lot of attention to detail in accounting. There's one thing when I hired people, when I was in industry to be staff accountants, I was looking for people that had an attention for detail and could see something when it was wrong or didn't look quite right. Okay? All right, so account number 5120. And that's in our cost of sales. It's a contra account. It's a credit account in the cost of goods or cost of sales area in our general ledger. 5120. And of course, cash credit 3950.22. 31st, CP10, cash credit 3950.22. Previous balance 16455.19 minus 3950.22. 12,504.97. Okay, and then account number 1110. Cash payments 10. We did that. That looks good. All right. It's October 1. Due to the functionality difference between the text and the software, the balance date and the ledgers is October 1. I'm not sure what that even means. Okay, whatever. Great step. And we come down here and we've got 2 out of 2. Yes, we posted those correctly. All right, next step. Accounts payable schedule. Now we're going to create our schedule of accounts payable. Now we don't have our, here's something where I would want to see the, maybe I can see it back here. Accounts payable ledger. 871753. I'm going to mark this as accounts payable over here. What is our balance? 871753. So when I go to do the accounts payable schedule, it has to equal my total controlling account for accounts payable. So here we go. Coastal Company balance 2230.88. Next, balance for Gray Manufacturing is, hello, zero. Now, ordinarily, you would not include a vendor with a balance of zero. I tried to enter zero and it didn't even let me do anything. Pacific Supply, they have a balance of 4177.65. Westland Supply, balance of 566. And Yeatman Designs, vendor number 250, 1743. Okay, 1743. And we're going to do my little adding machine over here, 2230.30.88 plus 4177.65 plus 566 plus 1743 equals 871753. You can see that equals my balance up there in my controlling account, 8717.53. So we're just creating a schedule. Like I said, with our grower payable account with accounts payable, we had a manual subsidiary ledger that rolled up and tied to a computerized balance in our general ledger. Okay, great final step. Bam. Looks good. We are done. And now you will continue here on your own with very similar exercise. All right. If you have any questions, reach out, drop me a line. Google Hangouts is always the best. Take care and have a great day.